welcome back to the UMLaw podcast. In today's episode, we'll be talking about the UM and DPEX DPO course, and we are here with Professor Abu Bakar, an expert in the data protection area. Okay, Professor, we understand that you and the Faculty of Law, University Malaya, together with DPEX, will soon be offering a specialized DPO course. So could you share with us what this course will cover and what makes it different from other programs available in the market?
Thank you so much for the questions. Yes, we are planning to roll out the program, DPEX and myself, to roll out the program on DPO. And I have been running DPO programs for Indonesia, for the past 3.5 years. And the most recent one was last month, and that was batch or cohort number 25. And so perhaps that could be one of the reasons our program is different from the rest, because I have been conducting this DPO program for Indonesia, and inshallah we are going to roll out program for DPO Saudi as well, because I'm finalizing the agreement with one university in Riyadh. Then we are entering into an agreement with one very established law firm in Delhi to introduce DPO India. So perhaps that could be one of the many differences between our program that we are going to offer with UM and the rest of the programs offered by other training providers. Basically, I myself is going to be involved in the training. So secondly, the module is so different. Our module is very, very comprehensive. Yeah, and when you look at the module that have been, module offered by other perhaps organizations, I think there are still some gaps there. For example, there's no mention about HR and data protection in relation to HR or human resources management. So that is very crucial, because as I said just now, data subject here means not only customers but staff members. How do you manage? So our module is very, very comprehensive, and it covers HR. It covers how to mitigate AI risks, artificial intelligence risks. It covers DPIA, data protection impact assessment, and it covers perhaps privacy by design. Again, privacy by design is a new thing in this part of the world. Yeah. So our module is very comprehensive. Thirdly, we are not talking about just theory. It's practical, hands-on. Yeah. And we are not just talking about Malaysia, meaning that just PDPA, but international best practice. So those are the perhaps the key elements why our program is different from the program offered by other organizations.
That's very
training providers.
interesting. Professor, in terms of this course with UM, and also you have already mentioned that you've been doing this in Indonesia. So would you tell us your experience doing this in Indonesia?
Yeah. Our program, or DPO Indonesia program, has been very, very successful, as I said. And normally we have about 40, 50, 60, or even 70 participants, from different backgrounds. and we used to have a CEO of a company, we have a managing director, chief financial officer, we have chief risk officer attending our program in Indonesia. And as I said, our module for DPO Indonesia, just like our module for Malaysia, are very, very comprehensive. And basically, we run the session for 3 days normally. Yeah. And what is interesting is that we give enough time for them to ask questions. And based on the feedback that I've received or we receive from the participant, that is very, very useful. More than enough time for them to ask questions, for each day. So because they are experienced people basically, and of course there are students or university students, but they can learn from experience or working people in that sense. So I'm quite happy with basically about the program in Indonesia.
Like given your experience with that in Indonesia, what are kind of like the difference from Indonesia and Malaysia that you will like bring forward when for the DPO course here in UM?
Of course, the focus is very much on our PDPA. Because that is needed for DPO operating in Malaysia or operating or advising Malaysian companies. But as I said, we look at international best practice as well, especially the gold standard or GDPR. So in our programs, it's going to be hands-on. It's going to be theory plus practical. In national legislation plus international best practice, and a comparative analysis on certain aspects. For example, data subject rights, for example, and questions on DPIA again, and then how do you process or how do you mitigate AI risks again, privacy by design, all those things. And as far as PDPA is concerned, we go beyond just the text of the law. Basically, not what the law is, but what the law should be in terms of best practice.
So can you share like maybe an example of like you talked about practical application also in the course, like what sort of example of how participants involved are trained to handle the real world data breach?
What we normally do is that we create a scenario. Let's say a data breach has occurred in the organization. Data breach has occurred in the organization. So how do you handle? How do you manage that crisis? So there will be a role play. Someone as the as a DPO, someone will be the data subject, and the director, and someone will play a role as a commissioner, for example. So how they interact and how to report the breach. And the other thing is, of course, DPI. Again, I would like to stress again and again because this is very, very important, and we tend to overlook this. I give you an example. When Malaysia conducted the digital identity projects, and then also I can't remember the name of the specific project. So DPIA was not conducted at all. So now we are facing the problem. Okay. So we provide to some extent that templates to be used to conduct DPIA and DPIA reports. Yeah. So as I said, it's theory plus practical, PDPA, national legislation, best practices, national legislation, comparative. Because you may require, even though you are DPO for a Malaysian company, yeah, but you need to transfer data, for example, to outside Malaysia. So you need to know whether you can transfer data to outside Malaysia. So this is a cross-border data transfer, and there will be a specific topic on cross-border data transfer.
I think that's very interesting, especially on the practical
Yeah.
application.
Yeah.
It really will like rounded the whole experience up.
Yeah.
Um,
So the whole idea is that to create a capable DPO. Okay.
Amazing, Professor. I really, really, honestly, it's very interesting.
It is, because the feedback that I've received is very encouraging, very, very encouraging.
Okay, so Professor, why should organizations consider to send their teams to attend this course?
First, it is a legal requirement.
Yes.
If you fall under those category, it is a legal requirement. Secondly, it is your duty to ensure that your DPO can carry out the task. In fact, as I said just now, under Section 9 of DPDPA, you are required to take practical steps. Then practical step means technical measures and organizational measures. And one of the organizational measures is to appointing DPO. And as mentioned in many provisions in the guideline, you have to make sure that your DPO is able to perform their duties and functions. So training is the critical part, basically. Yeah.
So, when we talked about like this course, right? So, do you think like in the future, maybe this course isn't only available for like organizations, maybe only people like that's planning to maybe have a passion on this could
This
also
is
attend?
this is basically a new career opportunity for students, for whoever interested in this area. In fact, there was a report saying that DPO is the most sexiest job in
Wow.
this in this century, because of the fact that it is required, it's mandated by, as I said just now, 60 other countries around the world. So as compared to, for example, data scientists. Data scientist is not mandated in any law, but DPO is mandated by 60 countries. Yeah. So to some extent, I think it's quite correct to say that DPO is the most sexiest job. Okay.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay, Professor, when we talked about this course, what can the participants, the students of this course, expect to take away at the end of these terms in terms of maybe skills, their
Okay.
competencies, and also professional recognition?
Yeah. Okay. Of course, talking about professional recognition locally and internationally, if I may say so, there is no institution certified body, if I may say so. But based on my experience in Indonesia, for example, our program has been recognized by the market or by the industry players. Yeah. So in Indonesia now, if someone wants to join a company and to work as a DPO, they will ask a certificate. and certificate from, PPDI,
Yeah.
for example. Yeah. So the learning outcomes, we are talking about the learning outcomes. First, of course, the concept, because this is very important to have a foundational concept, or to have a strong foundation about this issue. It's very, very crucial. So you should be able to have you should be able to acquire knowledge on some very basic concept. Then we talk about knowledge on PDPA thoroughly, perhaps. Then talking about knowledge of ASEAN, or at least, or ASEAN, or the law in Asia Pacific, because as I said, we do comparative analysis as well. Yeah. And of course, practical knowledge in terms of how to handle data breach, practical knowledge how to conduct DPIA, and how to appreciate privacy by design.
Yes. Actually, I'm very interested when you say privacy by design. Could you explain?
Many companies or many organizations, they don't consider privacy issue when they roll out any programs or any products or any services. So the very basic concept of privacy by design is that you embed privacy in the whole process of coming up with new product or new services. That's a very basic concept, meaning that embedding privacy or data protection at the very early stage of developing a product. For example, if you are working on AI system, for example, yeah. So you should be able to embed privacy matters or privacy issues from the very beginning, at the outset, when you are at the planning stage and of course throughout the process of coming up with a product or system. So that's the concept of privacy by design.
It's really important to be to really incorporate these details into.
Yeah. And then of course we are going to have a session on a specific section on artificial intelligence impact assessment, or AIIA, if I may say so. Okay, so I think this is very crucial nowadays, and not many people are doing this in their in their programs. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. So, Professor, we know that there are many DPO and data protection courses available today. Maybe not in Malaysia, but internationally. So, what would you say makes this course different, and what unique value can it offer to participants?
I've seen the module developed or offered by some international organizations. Yeah. And when I look at it, it's a very generic and general. The program is very general. If you look at the program offered by some organizations, very general on data protection, and of course this is going to be the program focusing on Malaysia, but with international best practices and comprehensive module covering the topics that I've mentioned just now. So that makes perhaps our program different from the rest.
All right. So, Professor, when we talked about this course, it really is something that is important for organizations to take up. So, what would you say to organizations? What message would you like to leave organizations that are still undecided about investing in the structured data protection officer training through the and DPEX program?
This is part of the compliance issue, basically, and it's part of initiative that companies should take to make their company different from other organizations, or in simple terms, competitive advantage again. This is a question of trust again, the question of competitiveness. And in our programs, it is a unique program because towards the end, before the assessment, I have to mention this, there will be an assessment, assessment to be done. Basically, they have to sit for the exam, okay? And before that, there will be a session with experts, Basically, we call expert to discuss issues or what have been learned, and if there are any questions from the participants, if they want to ask any specific questions. So there will be a session with expert. So perhaps we can call someone from within Malaysia or from Japan, because my very good friend was recently appointed as the commissioner in Japan. We can invite him as well. We can invite our commissioner as well, Puan Sharifah, if she agrees,
Yeah.
So there will be, what I'm trying to say is that there will be a session with experts.
Yeah.
So,
I think
yeah.
that's one of interesting, especially for the participants to really dive deeper into
Right.
this course.
Yeah.
All right. Last but not least, Professor, before we wrap up this podcast, are there any final thought or maybe key messages that you would like to share with our audience, especially on data protection and also the course that we share?
For organizations, the law has been there, more than a decade. And based on my research, I've conducted a survey recently, and not recently, I think 2-3 years ago. The result of the survey, the findings of the survey are not encouraging at all. Yeah, in terms of awareness, in terms of what companies have done to comply towards compliance. Yeah, so I think we have to do more, because this is not just about human rights.
Yeah.
It is about corporate governance. It is about corporate governance. It is about competitive advantage, and it is about how other countries look at us. For example, if you look at the agreement on reciprocal tariff, ART, it shows that data protection is one of the issues provided for in ART. I think in paragraph 3.2b, it talks about how Malaysia can transfer data to the US. So what I'm trying to say here is that this is an important issue for a country like Malaysia and for organizations in Malaysia. Yeah, data controllers, as mentioned in the law. Okay.
All right, so Professor, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. It is very clear that the and DPEX DPO course is actually more than just for compliance program. It's it really brings together University Malaya's strength in academic and also DPEX industrial expertise to really equip professionals with both strong legal understanding and also practical real world skills. As organizations nowadays navigate and to increase data protection risk and responsibilities, and so these initiatives play a crucial role in building trust, accountability, and sustainable governance. Thank you once again for sharing your perspectives, and we look forward to seeing the positive impact of these collaborations. So to the audience, if you have any more questions of or if you want to know more about the Data Protection Officer course by UM and DPEX, you can directly contact the UMLaw on our social media or go into our website. So thank you very much for tuning in. I am ALLYZSA ZAHRIL, and this is the UMLaw Podcast.